Call the Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
Well, Mr Speaker, that was a cracker. That was a David Bennett special. That was high-level stuff. That was a demonstration of how transformational this bill is. You'd think, given the name of it, sir, that it was a sort of motion picture. So the Taxation, Transformation, First Phase, Simplification and Other Measures Bill 2015. Now, I pay tribute to the Minister, who has expedited this bill far faster than one of his predecessors, the longest-serving Revenue Minister in the history of the Commonwealth Parliament, Sir Peter Dunn. I congratulate the present Minister. But that contribution, sir, from the Chair of FEC, who pored over this bill day after day, week after week, who purportedly knows it backwards, sir, shows the depth and detail and the huge transformations that are going to take place in this bill, sir, because he managed in his speech to talk about everybody else's policy, every other party policy, sir, which you then ruled against, quite rightly so, and then sort of ran out of puff. That was it. The one page of notes that the National Party, that Chris Bishop, sir, former researcher, would have scratched down for him, sir, and said, look, here's a couple of lines. We've got to pad this out till 10 o'clock, so you've got to throw a bit of biffo around, sir, and he ran out of steam. He ran out of steam. He managed to get out, sir, the 4 points, the 4 main points around this bill, but the depth or lack of depth of that speech, sir, shows that whilst we support the Minister's efforts, to be fair, he inherited this bill. He was probably told as the new Minister, this is his big, this is his first big hit as Revenue Minister. He can kick a goal, sir, in this Parliament in his first couple of days in the job, and the Revenue handed him this. He said, hey, this has got a flash name. It's transformation, so I'll be able to spin a few lines to say this is a hugely authoritative bill, sir, heavy on gravitas, heavy on transformational detail, and we'll give it a whirl. The only bit of advice, it was working. He made a good third reading speech until he handed it over to old Humpty Dumpty, who fell fair and square, sir, off the wall. Sir, we support this bill. I bet though, sir, I bet the next tax bill, sir, that the Minister brings in, he will not make that same mistake again. It'll be Chris Bishop leading the charge on behalf of FEC for the National Party side. So I say to the Minister, I hope you can put Humpty Dumpty back together again. Sir, this is, as previous speakers have said, a good common sense bill. It makes a number of changes which I will not rehearse because I know the Minister quite rightly wants to get this through tonight, get the press statement out and talk about transformation. It makes a number of common sense changes, sir, but I have to say, as other colleagues have said, they are small steps. They will indeed, as the Minister said, assist business and assist many of the players in our tax system, those in the provisional tax area and others, being able to file electronic signatures, being able for the IRD to send and receive emails, although you've got to say, sir, tongue-in-cheek, that in this day and age we're passing a bill giving the IRD permission to put down the rocks and stones, the chalks and slate, the pieces of paper, and actually get on the computer and send Joe and Josephine taxpayer an email saying, hey, it's time to put your return in, and by the way, if you'd like to, you can send one back to us. Transformational stuff, but I blame Peter Dunn. I don't blame this Minister because this should have been done 100 years ago, sir, or whatever. This does bring the IRD back into the 21st century, or sort of pulls them into the 21st century, sir, kicking and screaming. But I just raised, sir, a number of points. One, and I'm sure the Minister will recall me raising some concerns in the committee stage, and that was he made reference to the $800 million plus allocation in the budget for the business transformation IT program. And whilst I accept, and it has been a fact for some time, that IRD does need to have a modern, robust IT system to cope with the new technology and to make it easier for taxpayers. And I made reference, I think, an interjection with the Minister to the last time the National Party put through a big IT project, pre-Nova Pay actually, which was under the Bolger government called INSYS. It went awry. And the place is littered, to be fair, sir, with IT projects, and I'm sure it's cross-party when we've been in government, that have had some difficulties in terms of managing budgets. This is a massive amount of money, sir, a massive amount of money and a massive business transformation IT project, and which, and my colleague says it's called infrastructure. Indeed, he's right. My concern, sir, and I just seek further reassurance from other National Party members, given that Chris Bishop is on top of this bill, unlike his chairman, that that money is going to be managed wisely and monitored very, very carefully. Because we know with some in the public service, there is often with these projects a loss of spec control, that you get to the end of these projects and the sort of IT consultants turn to you and say, well, you know, you didn't ask me to make it work, you just wanted all these things bolted on. And we want this to work, we want it to be appropriate, and we want it to assist taxpayers and the IRD, but we do seek assurances that the money, a huge amount of discretionary spending going to the department and senior management is being monitored carefully, and we won't get to the end of this when somebody else will make a speech like this in years to come, and we find out we've got a dud and and a whole lot of taxpayers' money, sir, has gone down the drain. So I asked the Minister, I think he's a pretty diligent Minister, unlike some of his predecessors who were sort of, you know, asleep at the wheel, or maybe, you know, sort of got bored with the job after 20 years in the job, as Mr Dunn was. I'm sure this Minister will be counting the beans as every dollar goes through and monitoring that it is appropriate, sir. I think the point that my colleague made about the $750 million owed by IRD, I'd say to the Minister, that is a massive amount of money, almost equivalent to the budget allocation for the Business Transformation Project. And I hope he will ask the department to be as vigorous in trying to repatriate that money to taxpayers as the department is as vigorous of taking money off taxpayers, appropriately so, in terms of their tax obligations. There must be a way in this day and age to hunt down those taxpayers and say, actually, we've got a cheque for you because you overpaid, you paid too much, it's sitting there in our bank accounts, and we're going to help you. You could probably, I think, do a lot. Kiwis could do a lot with the $750 million that the revenue, therefore the government, owns them, if that money could be somehow be repatriated in part or in whole to those taxpayers. So, sir, look, the Labor Party supports the bill, as we've always supported practical tax measures. I congratulate the Minister on his diligence in powering this one through. I look forward to the transformational media statement which will come out tomorrow, and I certainly look forward to Chris Bishop, who'll speak next. God help us, I hope it's a better effort than his chairman at FEC.
Oh, Mr. Speaker.
Well,